Good evening. I'm Jennifer.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Andrea. And we
And
are not
we're not
saints.
saints.
but we're learning from them and we're loving the journey as we learn. And today we're talking about St. Christopher. And I have to say, I've always heard about St. Christopher since I was like in maybe middle school. A lot of my friends wore St. Christopher medals. I did not know what they meant. I just thought, oh, they're wearing a medal, and it was to protect them, I think, when they were on their journeys, traveling. That's really all I knew. So today, this week, when we decided that we were going to study St. Christopher, it's been really exciting, and I've learned a lot. And I think one thing I want to talk about is how much he was searching for answers, right? He searched from following a powerful king to following Satan to really trying to find his meaning of life and where the power is. I don't know, but I really enjoyed learning about him. One thing that amazed me most is the story of how he started carrying a little child across the riverbank. And as he was carrying the child, each step got heavier and heavier and heavier. And he was this big, they say a giant man. And he finally said to the child, "Why are you so heavy?" And the child said, which I loved, "You are carrying not only the weight of the world, you are carrying the one who created it." Wow. And Mike and Andrea will talk more about that as we continue on. But this is the moment that changed everything for St. Christopher. And it's a great story to share. But what I think about today is so many of us are carrying that weight on ourselves, right? Be it through through grief, through depression, anxiety, loneliness, fear. Some days we wake up and we are exhausted from what we know we have to carry or are carrying. But this is what I loved about St. Christopher is he reminds us that we're not alone and that Christ is within us and he strengthens us one step at a time. So I'm excited that we picked this saint to learn from, and I'm anxious to hear what you guys learned. And I've turned the mic to Mike.
And I'm Mike. Yeah, as Jennifer said, St. Christopher, we all have heard of St. Christopher because a lot of, Catholic priests, when we're traveling, we'll ask for a blessing and they'll bless our car in the name of St. Christopher.
They don't do it in the name of St. Christopher,
Yes,
but they ask him. Yeah.
Well, not in the name, but they ask St. Christopher
for
protection.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So they use his name for that. So that's how we'd all heard of St. Christopher. But
it's almost like calling one of your soldiers to the front lines, like, hey, we really need your skills. We really need your intercession. Yeah, and it kind of helps us answer the question of the season of like, what is the relationship with Catholics and saints? What is that all about? Exactly. So it's a great example of how you can call on to one of them to be used.
Yeah.
And then I forgot about the car, but that's true.
He was born in the 2nd century with the name Reprobus was his name originally, which I got the translation as meaning giant. So, and he was, with all accounts, he was a very large man, and he was kind of confused on what he wanted to dedicate his life to. Originally, he followed the king and thought the king was God, basically.
Right.
He thought this king must be the God of the world because he controls everything.
Yeah, I think he was setting out to find the most powerful person that he could find. Yes. And the kings at those times especially, they held a lot of power.
Yeah. Right. But the king one day showed fear that he was afraid of the devil. And so Reprobus was like, well, if this king's afraid of someone, that person must be the most powerful. So I dedicate my life to the devil.
Yeah.
Which he did for a while until one day the devil was passing a cross and the devil wouldn't go near it. He walked around it. And he's like, well, why would this guy that's supposedly God
have all the power, right,
is afraid of a cross? So he started inquiring about what this meant. And there was a hermit that he'd met that explained Christianity to him about how Jesus had died on the cross for man and so that we could be saved. I mean, that was the turning point. I mean, well, this is the true God. So he turned to Christianity, and the troll had explained to him that he needed to give his life dedicated to Christianity. And serve the Lord. So as being the man that he was, big, powerful, strong man, he said, well, I'm going to assist people across this raging river. That's one thing I can do because I'm so tall
and strong.
So he started carrying people across the river as his dedication to God. And then one day there was a small child came and asked if he could be carried. And as Jennifer said, I mean, he kept getting heavier and heavier, crossing this raging river, and it ended up being Jesus Christ on his shoulder.
And to paint that scene a little bit more, he finds this child at the foot of a river, basically wanting to cross and needing help. And as he's crossing, not only did the child get heavier, but the river got more and more treacherous.
Got taller, deeper, and more
Yeah.
raging.
And this story makes its debut in the 13th century. I'm going to totally butcher the name, Compendium of Hagiographies, and it's known as the Golden Legend.
That's
So
correct.
it's interesting that it appears in that kind of format, but it's also something that's been passed on through generations, the story of St. Christopher and how he carried the child.
Yeah, then Jesus gave St. Christopher his name, St. Christopher. He told him that that was his name, which I believe means
the one who carries Christ.
The one who carries Christ is the Greek meaning. Christopher.
So Jesus baptized Christopher and gave him that name, is what you were saying, right? Yeah. So then the Reprobus kind of name dies off, and then he becomes Christopher, which is both his name and what he does as he's been converted.
And then, Jennifer said she remembers, people always had medals. St. Christopher, which the St. Christopher medal depicts a large bearded man carrying a staff in water, carrying a child. That's the St. Christopher medal.
Yeah, his death actually, did you read about depictions of him with arrows?
Yeah, there were several different.
Yeah, because in his death, according to the Roman martyrology, he was executed during the reign of Emperor Decius, if I'm saying that right. Decius, and he was shot with arrows after surviving being burned, and it reminds me of some of the other saints.
Then he ended up being decapitated because even the arrows.
They wanted him to denounce his Christianity. They wanted him to say there was God.
Follow pagans,
Follow the pagan. Wouldn't he refused? They tortured him, burned him, shot him with arrows, then finally decapitated him, like we've said in past podcasts. Seems like that's kind of a theme.
Right. And it's also a nod to his story of crossing the river and helping travelers cross the river, because he was kind of known to be a giant. And so he was probably a larger guy that was known for being tough and very strong. And so it makes sense that his death was so drawn out because of his strength. But his popularity also was extremely high in southern Germany and Austria and northern Italy. And he was also known as one of the 14 holy helpers. So he's got a lot of names.
I love that story about the 14 helpers. It's something new I'd never heard before until this.
Yeah. And it's also, his story also fades in and out of history because he was also dropped from the calendar of the Roman Catholic Church in 1969. And it was known that his feast day wasn't obligatory anymore. So whenever something like that happens, it's like, well, why did that come up? But he disappeared from the liturgical calendar. And then despite that, he was always recognized as a saint by the church, and it didn't knock his popularity at all. So his story being really impactful and surviving generation after generation, and also the way that he survived his own attempted martyrdom, like they had to really kill him. He just is a very resilient sounding saint. Also, when they tried to drop him in 1969 from the calendar, he was then, okay, this guy is really popular. We better stop trying to make him disappear.
Yeah. The other things that people pray through St. Christopher for, they wear his medal for good luck, protection, surfing or water sports, sailors. They exchange them with fellow travelers as a big thing. And they pass down generation to generation, and you just hand them to strangers for good luck. And they obviously hang them in your rearview mirror for automobiles, which was not around then, but are now. But yeah, and then there's the last one I had. People stash the medals in nature and for someone else to find. Good luck.
We need to get some St. Christopher medals and start doing that.
Yeah.
We do it with our little Marys and our little Jesuses. Now we need to do it with St. Christopher. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
definitely. Yeah, I think his depictions in art are really interesting. His the way that he's honored, whether it's by medal or a lot of people will have like a little statue of him on their dashboard in their car. But also, gardeners and out in nature. I did pick up on that. And then his feast day is July 25th. So that's coming up too.
Yeah, one of the little funny stories when I was reading about St. Christopher, the descriptions of him and everything, I was thinking of Andre the Giant. I don't know if you guys, the Giant, the wrestler.
Oh my gosh.
But I picture Andre the Giant could have been St. Christopher's look-alike.
Yeah.
I called Mike the Jolly Green Giant. We would play pickleball. So when I was thinking of St. Christopher, I was thinking of Mike.
Right. So I do have some Bible verses to share with you.
I know. I always look forward to your Bible verses.
And it's very reminiscent of St. Christopher's story. And I also think there's so much connection there with feeling like you're carrying the weight of the world, feeling like you're carrying maybe somebody else's burdens and you have to be that friend who's carrying them across the river yourself.
Amen. Yes.
So one of the Bible verses that stood out was from Galatians 6:2. And it's very short. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ. And I think that's really powerful that we're being asked to carry each other's burdens, and just like Christ carried ours and carries ours even now. But the physical act of St. Christopher carrying the child of God and not knowing it, just doing it because he never stopped seeking out serving the Most High, the most powerful.
Right.
And then once he did, the weight of that was heavy and he didn't stop. And I think that's what we're all asked to do every day, both for ourselves and for each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's an important message in all this, that we all, in being Christians and Catholics in particular, we have a burden to carry, the weight of others and the world on our carry them to find Christ. And that's just, it's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
That's not easy. Takes a lot of dedication. And Jennifer's third book she just had written gives a lot of that we have to follow. And tell them about your book, honey.
No, I'm not. But it is called When Vice Happens.
Yeah,
so.
When Vice
Happens. Well, and the next verse, so I did pick two. So I know I usually just do one, but this next one kind of ties into that too. Because when vice happens, in life, you might be like, I don't really want to do this because this isn't for me, or like this is going to cause me to go out of my way in a way I'm not comfortable with, or whatever it is. But also we have those guilty pleasures in life too.
Yes.
Those are the real vices. So in Matthew 25:40, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. And that's really important. And it's a great way to trick your mind into thinking about when someone's asking you to do something, remember, you're not doing it for yourself or for them. Just do it for God. And that's really at the core of what St. Christopher did as he was searching for serving.
The thing is, he knew at a young age, he was searching for something. He just found some wrong ways, but I don't even know if you can say they're wrong, because everything led him to Christ, to carrying Christ through the water, right?
Exactly.
So, and that's, I think, what I was so fascinated is that when his beginning was just so interesting, because he knew he was looking for something, right?
Well, his parents were pagans, so he was born into that period. There was a lot of pagans that believed in different gods
exactly
that were not true gods, and he found true God and dedicated his life to it.
So I do think St. Christopher is a saint that I will hold close to my heart now. And as I said, I loved learning about him a lot today. I have a better understanding of who he was.
You get a St. Christopher medal and hang it in your car, and now you know why.
I think we have them in our cars. I do.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the St. Christopher medal does mean so much to people today. Yes. He was the patron saint of travelers. And a lot of people wear his medal, as I said earlier, for protection on that journey. But let's take it a little step deeper. What if it's the journey of life, that we're all travelers, correct? And I think that's what his broader life, all of us are traveling over difficult waters, right? And we're all carrying something, all of us. And I even know today, I have conversations with people all the time, and all different people are carrying different things. And you're like, whoa, I thought mine was heavy. That's really heavy. I'm seeing more and more of it as we have conversations in these days. And all of us are searching to find that love, there I go, back to that love, that love, that compassion that we feel in our heart. And I think St. Christopher reminds us that even when life feels unbearably hard, Jesus is nearer than we think. And we just have to remember that. Sometimes the weight we feel most deeply is not proof that God has abandoned us. It's proof that we are carrying something sacred through that river, just like Christopher did. I don't know. I want to learn more. I think I want to write more about him because he really did ignite something in me.
Right.
I don't know if you guys.
He really manifested his role with Jesus too. Like he said out loud, hey, I'm looking for the most powerful person to serve. And being somebody who was probably a giant person or maybe an actual giant, mythology. But being somebody who is so powerful himself in physical features, he could have just been like, I'm just going to crush anybody that comes in my path. I'm just going to do this. But he said out loud that he was wanting to use his body to serve. And I think that was really special, but he had to say it first. He had to have that conviction of like, once the king showed weakness, okay, you're obviously not the most powerful. Once Satan showed weakness, okay, you're not the most powerful. God is the most powerful. And so that's who he set his sights on the whole time. It's also really important when you start your journey, whatever it is that you're seeking out in life, that you say it and you mean it, and then you go after it and it will come to you. And we're lucky that we can call on these warriors, I should say, to come and help us along in our journey.
Right. Beautifully said. Say it. Believe it. What did you just say? I liked it. Say it.
I don't even know. I just said that and I was like, oh, that was good. Say it, mean it, and go out and find it.
And do it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, he is an inspiration.
Yes. All of our saints have been very inspiring.
I still think of him as a gentle giant, which I'm probably wrong, but it's just how I want to feel him, but powerful.
Yeah. And I think that's really unique about this particular saint. And yeah, I think all of them have been very inspiring in their own right. So I'm excited to see what's next and who's next that we're going to cover.
I know. And you guys, thanks so much for joining us. This is, again, we're enjoying our journey. We're enjoying sharing it with you. And thank you so much again for your comments, for your questions, we're trying our best and doing our best, and we truly appreciate you. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
See you then.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of We're Not Saints. For more of the We're Not Saints shenanigans and behind-the-scenes content, you can follow us on Instagram at We're Not Saints 1. That's We're Not Saints 1, without the apostrophe. And be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. We'd also love to hear from you. So leave us a comment or a review, or contact us by email at we'reNotSaints1@gmail.com.
And if you'd like to have a great companion to your weekly saint studies with us, you can purchase a copy of my books. Are You There, Mary? How to Resurrect in Love After Loss, or Finding Love in the Confessional on Amazon, available as a Kindle version or paperback.
All these links will be provided in the description of this episode. And don't forget to tune in next Wednesday for our weekly dose of saints. God bless you.
Should you read it again with more intonation?
No.
It was very Mike.